Ready, steady. Okay, just asking questions.
When was the first time when you registered to a social media ever?
That's a really good question. Probably in 2008, when I was at the BBC, and one of my team who worked on compiling and reading travel news said to me, have you heard of this thing called Twitter? I already knew about Facebook, and I wasn't a member actually. I don't think I fully understood what Facebook was about back in 2008. So he talked to me about Twitter, and he sat me down and he showed me the famous people who were on there. But more importantly, for what we were doing in our job, he showed me that there were people on Twitter who were tweeting about roads that had been closed or train services that had been cancelled. And he said to me, we should set up an account, and we should try and see if we can use some of this information in how we compile the travel news. Now, I don't know how many followers that BBC Travel Twitter account has now, but it has a lot. And that ex-colleague of mine is now a top executive in social media. But it was him, actually, way back when, it's quite a few years ago now, who noticed that this sort of giant bucket of public text messages, Twitter, might have some use for us at our radio station. And ever since, my background is in radio, and I still love radio. And all the things that initially drew me to radio, its immediacy and its intimacy and the interactivity, the relationship with the listeners, all the stuff that I've always thought radio holds exclusively and dear. I sort of fast learned that social media also has immediacy and intimacy and interactivity. So bring radio and social media together, and you could have something that's quite potent. And I've been working for EUROVISION, part of the EBU, for the past 3 years, leading social media training, and that's introduced me to colleagues from television. I think we've learned that social media best practice, in terms of broadcasting, is social media best practice, whether you work for TV or whether you work on the radio side. So we tend now to talk to a mix of people from TV and from radio, and it's probably only right we do that as more and more broadcasters, move towards working multi-platform. So anyway, a long answer to a short question, but I think it was end of 2007, 2008, something like that.
And do you use social media still privately, or this is just your work too?
Yeah.
Sorry.
For the most part, I use it the most professionally, but I do use it personally. I'm quite guarded personally. I'm quite a private person, so my Facebook is locked down with maximum security, and my Facebook page is a place for my friends. So I know everybody, and I'm happy with people seeing pictures of my family, or I share personal stuff on there, but only with people that I'm happy to share personal material with. I have an Instagram account, I have a Twitter account, but I tend to use those more professionally to network and mine for information. Actually, myself, I follow a lot of experts in the world of social media, and there's probably 2 or 3 links to interesting articles that I find every day. So I tend to use it professionally, and I've made new friends, and I've made new contacts, and I found work, and there's been lots of personal benefits for me.
This is the second time, as far as I know, that you are here in Hungary as a social media expert. What do you think? How can we change our mind regarding using social media as professional broadcasters or programmers or anything else?
To introduce social media into the mix of what you do day in, day out as broadcasters across such a huge organisation as yours is going to be difficult. I think significant change has to come from the top down, but some change, or the beginning of change, can start from the bottom up. So for producers, for editors, to work collaboratively with colleagues from the social media team, to work on special projects or experiments, as I like to call them, to to focus on projects where you can really make a difference, where you can really demonstrate that you've added value to a broadcast through what you've done on social media, provides you with some really good real evidence to be able to share with your bosses, for them to share with executives, to try to make the bigger changes. But I feel really privileged working for EUROVISION on social media, because I've worked with broadcasters from around 40 organisations now, and it's given me this sort of overview of what's going on, and some broadcasters are more advanced than others. Some broadcasters are at the very, very, very start of the journey, but from those on the other end of the scale who are quite advanced, who have started to introduce social media into what everyone, for example, in the newsroom uses as a resource day in, day out. We've seen the results. We almost see the results every day of where social media has paid off, has brought in new stories, has brought new voices to air. Broadcasts have increased, the reach, the potential audience, the material that they've got. So we already now have a bank of very convincing case studies and examples of where social media has worked. But I think proving its worth inside your own organisation is often the most convincing case studies.
I was in Switzerland in September, October, just visiting a fair, an exhibition about new computer technologies and so on. Yeah. And I just saw a small thing which measured your blood pressure.
Right.
And you could share your blood pressure figures to your friends too. Wow. So what do you think about this whole world of sharing social media? Would it last forever, or it is just a bubble?
Yeah. Social media, the act of being social, has existed since we were cavemen. So we will always want to be social with one another, but suddenly over the past 5 to 10 years, here have been these tools that have helped us be social, maybe more frequently, but certainly with people that we're not sitting next to or living next door to, or reacquainting ourselves with people we used to go to school with, or whatever else. So I think we're always going to want to share good news. We're always going to want to share with our friends the things that have made us laugh or have shocked us. I think we're going to want to share things that are meaningful in some way. Whether that's your blood pressure probably depends on whether it's really high or impressively low. But yeah, I think we're always going to want to share. I think it's highly likely, isn't it? If not certain, that if we did this interview 5 years from now, social media will be a very different space. I feel pretty sure that Facebook and Twitter are going to be part of it, probably Google Plus as well, but I'm sure there will be some others as well who are equally as big and equally as significant. We talked about some on the course that are rising fast in their popularity, like Tumblr and Pinterest, and I'm sure there will be others in 5 years' time. So I think, yes, social media is going to be here for a long time, but I think it will continue its rapid progress, its rapid expansion, and its rapid change. So Facebook, I'm sure, will be a different platform to what it is today. It will have significant changes in the next 5 years. Twitter too. There will be other sides. And I think for those broadcasters who are really interested in social media, I think keeping an eye on today, obviously, is really important, but keeping an eye on what's coming up next, being aware of what those key tools are and how to use them and what the potential could be in those is important. And the only other thing I'd say about the whole act of sharing and being social is it's quite interesting. One thing I've noticed just this year from some of the broadcasters that I've worked with is they are themselves redefining what social media is, because our definition has been quite simplistic up to this point. Effectively, it's been Facebook and Twitter and blogs and core social media platforms. But some broadcasters are taking the whole behaviour of being social and redefining it. So, for example, an act of social media. An act of social media for VRT in Belgium was recently taking a programme out to communities and involving large groups of around 100 viewers at a time in its production. And for them, that was an example of social media. You know, they provided the media, the people were the social aspect, getting together with the people. National Public Radio in the States, and this is actually nothing new, I think they did this about 18 months ago now. They, in every major city in all of the states, did a weekend where they got together face to face with listeners that they'd built relationships with via the social media. They invited local community groups, and together they collaborated on new programme ideas. So there again is a far broader, in some ways far simpler idea of being social, actually getting face to face with your listeners or the organisations that you broadcast to in your area, starting to talk and starting to generate ideas for new programmes or new features, whatever they may be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.